not the census made a link between the health well-being of those who bury their waste in their compound. Did you go into that as well?
No, we didn't go into that, but then we came out with a figure of the households who burn or who bury their solid waste.
All right. Mr. Jerry, thank you very much for your time this afternoon and for sharing the outcome of this survey. This is the pulse here on Joy. We also have environmentalist Awula Serwah. He is coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens, an NGO advocacy group. Thanks for joining us also via Zoom. So, Awula, so you've heard the survey report. Now, to the extent that people, they've adopted the strategy of burying their waste in their compound, and the statistical service, they try to provide reasons behind it. One that came out was the fact that waste collectors do not come on time, but I wanted to understand the impact of this on the environment and the health well-being of these individuals. All right, so let me again bring in Awula. So I'm asking, how harmful is waste barrier and burning to the environment, as we have been made to understand that this has become a major issue, especially in the Savannah, the Upper West region?
Exactly, it is. And it's time that we all show a commitment to doing something about it. I believe what needs to happen is that we all need to have the receptacles, and it should be segregated. Plastics in one place, paper in another place, food waste somewhere else. And that would go a long way towards reducing the situation we have right now. So those who collect the rubbish, for example, Zoom Lion, there's no point into dumping all the rubbish into one place. It doesn't make any sense. In developed nations, you have the segregated rubbish from source. So you know where you put your plastics, you know where you put your batteries, you know where you put your shall I say, food waste, which can be used for compost and other things. You don't dump everything to one place. And also, we have said several times, even in our manifesto, that there needs to be a ban on single-use plastics. Look at the images you are showing. Most of the waste is plastic. In lots of African countries, Malawi, Kenya, Tanzania, to name a few, they have banned single-use, Rwanda, they have banned single-use plastics, which has gone a long way towards reducing the waste. Because where do they find themselves? They find themselves in our drains and aiding flooding and so on and so forth. When you are going shopping, it's your responsibility to take something with you for your rubbish. Otherwise, the supermarkets could sell what they call the bag for life, which is something that is biodegradable. And then you can put your shopping in it. There's no point in having plastic bags. So what they've done in Europe, for instance, in the UK, when you go to a supermarket and you want a plastic bag, you pay for it. And because of that, the use has gone down. People tend to go with their recyclable bags and put their shopping in it. Otherwise, you would pay to get a plastic bag. So you don't find plastic bags littering the place like we have in Ghana.
Well, until maybe we have a law that will ban plastic bag, we'll have to live with it, at least for the time being. But I'm more interested in this angle of the story, which says that if you look at the assemblies and the fact that they have standing contract or relationship with waste collectors, especially Zoom Lion, here's the case that the administrator of the common fund even did that component before the assembly's common fund get to them. So you assume that we shouldn't have issues with waste collection. Yet here is the case that to the extent that, they don't even come, leaving people the opportunity to do what we don't expect them to do.
Well, until we get our act together, the situation you're talking about will continue. We say one thing and something else happens. You've rightly said it, and a lot of us pay for whether allowance, waste, Zoom line, whatever you want to call it. And they are supposed to come and collect your rubbish. But I'm saying that even when they do come, they need to give people different receptacles so that we don't dump everything in one place. We, for instance, are very particular about recycling. And there are recycling companies that we might call for the plastics. It's such a struggle to get them to come and collect it. Some of the assemblies have, for example, I know Ladma, we arranged for them to have one. They have somebody who comes for the plastics So you can take your plastic waste to for municipal assembly,
right,
and it will be collected. But even then, it's very difficult to get the residents to do so. So I hear what you are saying. You are absolutely right. Zoom Lion needs to do a better job. But people only do what you expect them to do. You are paying them. So if they're not doing what they are supposed to do, then you stop paying them. But if you continue paying them and you say they're not doing what they're supposed to do, then there's a big problem somewhere, isn't there?
What's the way forward in these circumstances? I mean, I thought waste management was an urban issue. Now, according to the Ghana Statistical Service, is even more pronounced in the Savannah and the Upper West region. I thought this was an Accra and Kumasi issue. But even in less populated areas, it is becoming a challenge.
Well, to become a challenge, I mean, what is happening now is that we are all, we produce so much and we waste so much. So we have something called reduce, reuse, recycle. We have to reduce the amount of waste we are producing. For example, it's being said that at this rate, there'll be more plastic in the waters than fish if we don't do something about the way we are conducting ourselves. But it's also so many measures have to be put together in tandem. It's not just one thing. You need to stop people from littering when they do so. The law needs to come hard on them. You need to make sure that everybody, once you have a household or a business, you need to show who is collecting your waste. You cannot, because once you are living, you are going to be producing waste. And then something needs to be done about it. First and foremost, the question is the fact that we are producing too much waste. Look at packaging. You go and buy an item, and about 3/4 of it is packaging, which ends up in the dustbin.
Right.
Is that necessary?
There's also the issue of those who come and collect, those who are using tricycles, and sometimes it's difficult to follow and trace them to see where they dump this, as the final resting place.
With respect, if you are in loss of a better word, if you're in a well-organized country, how do you have tricycles coming when the tricycles don't have very clear terms of reference so that you know where they are taking their rubbish to? Some just go and dump it anywhere and come for more rubbish. This is unacceptable. We have a country where lawlessness reigns. Everybody does what they like, and we haven't heard of the word enforcement. If the tricycles are coming, they need to be, monitored by the local assembly. So you know that this tricycle is handling these areas. You know where they are taking the waste. So that if they collect the waste and dump it in front of somebody's yard or in a park or something, then you know what to do. You can't just allow them to come collect rubbish, dump them anywhere they like whilst you look idly by. We need to tie things together. There's too much indiscipline, too much lawlessness, and too much of everybody doing what they do without any regulation. That is the problem we have.
Now, the impunity of this is what we discovered as part of our Filth exhibition program here at JoyNews, where one of my colleagues, Masol Agbagba, went to the former seat of government, the Osu Castle, right in between the Osu Castle and the Asunju Park, where the former president, John Evans Atames, was buried. And in between these two areas is a refuse dump. And people have actually designated a place where they will go and ease themselves. That is the level of impunity being adopted in this area.
But you see, you cannot have impunity if you have a sensible system and there's enforcement. You see, human beings do what you expect them to do. Very few people are like you, law-abiding. Whether there's somebody with a stick behind them, they'll just do the right thing. Many human beings do what they are expected to do. They know if they litter, before they realize there'll be somebody there to find them, so they don't litter. They know that you cannot have a house without a place of convenience. Houses are being erected every day. There are kiosks and so on and so forth. They have no place of convenience. Where do you think they're easing themselves? And yet you have the authorities just watching idly by. So yes, I've seen very nice areas and you see a rubbish dump there. Sometimes you call the local authority and tell them, or take a photo and send them to them. And what happens? Most of the time, nothing. The litter just piles up. And more people see litter there, then they decide that this is a designated place for me to throw my rubbish. So certain things need to follow. Every household must be able to show who is collecting their rubbish. If you notice, a while back, we all paid rates,
right,
and the local authority themselves collected our waste. Right now, every Tom, Dick, and Harry can just come and they're collecting the waste they can dump anywhere. And we're still, we don't ensure that dwelling houses and businesses can show where their rubbish is going. And it's to the detriment of all of us. The burning is causing air pollution, which is going to make us ill. It's causing the rise in asthma and so on and so forth. It's making the whole place so unsanitary, and you have diseases like cholera and so on and so forth. And then we just watch and do nothing. We can solve this problem tomorrow, or shall I say yesterday, if we had the commitment. Because with commitment, we can solve all the problems. The laws are there. All we need to do is enforce them. We should not be allergic to enforcement. Without enforcement, you can pass all the laws. Say you have all these sustainable development goals. They're not going to get there. We just use them. We have no, we go around green Ghana. The very next minute, we're building on Parks and Gardens land. We're building a filling station in Parks and Gardens in Wa. And then we turn around and say, green Ghana. We're trying to reach the SDG goals. I mean, we're just not serious. We go to conferences. We just collect our per diem, come back. What changes? Absolutely nothing.
And my final question will be the way forward, especially when in 2017 we were told that Accra was going to become the cleanest in Africa and later revised to the end of the term of the president's, tenure, 2024. Are we anywhere close to making Accra the cleanest?
Well, if you look at what's around you, does that look so? When you go to Kigali in Rwanda, they haven't said anything about being the cleanest city in Africa. But when you go there, you can see how clean they are. You see, it's not about gimmicks. It's not about saying, I'm going to put my presidency on the line, and then illegal mining is even worse than before you made that undertaking, and the state itself is complicit. It's not about sound bites. It's not about slogan. It's about hard work, and it's about taking the measures that need to be taken. I can stand here and give you some sound bites. It's not a magic wand which will change anything. If you're not prepared to do the hard work, to put the systems in place and to ensure that there's enforcement, all these things will remain sound bites. Accra is filthy. It's a beautiful place which could be cleaned. It's filthy because we're not prepared to put the systems in place. We're not prepared to enforce anything. We're just prepared to bring our hands and say, look at these people, they are burning. What are you doing about it? That's why we have authority.
Thank you very much, Awula, for your time this afternoon on the pulse here on JoyNews. So we are talking about Filth, and of course, here at JoyNews, we are embarking on this campaign. It's a Filth exhibition, and of course, we've been bringing you reports of Filth across the capital, Accra. If you're